Okay, now we'll take a look at the geometric property of an ellipse. Basically, what the foci, why they're significant. Because really, to graph an ellipse, all you need are the major vertices and the minor vertices, right? If you have those, you have a good idea of what the ellipse looks like. So this geometric property we're going to look at gives significance to the actual foci, which are not part of the ellipse, not actually on the ellipse. So here, let's mark our center, and our major axis would be vertical in this case because this ellipse is vertical. So our foci are somewhere on this vertical axis. So let's just say they are right here. By the way, they are the same distance from the center. So you'd measure the same distance in both directions to get your foci. And we'll look at how to calculate that distance later on. But for now, not in this video, actually in a different video. For now, let's just talk about what special property an ellipse has as it relates to the foci. And that property is, if you pick any point on this ellipse, say this point here, and you measure the distance from that point to one focus, and then you measure the distance from that point to the other focus, you get a total distance here, right? If you pretend this is a single string, for example, it has a length. When you add those two things together, you get one length. Now let's pick any other point on the ellipse. Okay, so I'm going to pick something maybe that looks a little different than this particular point. Let's choose maybe this point here. This point is on the ellipse. And let's do the same thing. Let's make a line from that ellipse, or from that point to this focus, and then from that point to the other focus. And what we get then is another length, right? This string, if you will, has its own length. So I think you would agree that any point on this ellipse could be connected to both foci, as I've done with these two, I'll call them strings. The property that an ellipse has is the yellow string, and I don't literally mean string, I'm just doing that to make it seem more tangible. The yellow string and the green string have the same length. In fact, any string that you would use for any point on this ellipse, say this point here, you could do the same thing. You would get a string length here. That string length would be the same as the green and the yellow string lengths. So in fact, for any point, the string length is the same. So what this does is it leads to lots of interesting properties of ellipses that we'll explore through graphing and through equations. It also has some real-world applications. You might look up something like whispering rooms or things like that. So that is the geometric property of an